Okay, then we are good to go, and I've managed to drag Gwen into the room as well, and she will commence with a question, followed by Peter with some dream experiences, then Pearce, then I. So I greet you all, and it's very good to be with you all again, from whichever part of the globe you hail from. And so Gwen will commence with her question.
Right. Hello, all. This might be a little bit mixed up because I've been rewriting the question so it sounds better, but Kevin and I were talking about 9-to-5 jobs, and we were saying about people who are learning the new presentation and are on the process of becoming more aware. Should they think about giving up their jobs so that they're not supporting the general demise of the planet by doing their jobs? That makes no sense, does it? Hope you can understand that. And if their real intent and their focus is recognised by the guides and everything, should they be okay in working a 9-to-5 job, or should they really think about giving it up maybe?
Is that my cue?
Let me turn up the volume a bit. There we go. Yep, that's a question for you, Duane.
That's my cue. Okay, so I like the little melody. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that becomes kind of a funny thing, doesn't it? So we're all in creation. We're doing what we're doing, and so now we start to wake up and see that there's more to life. So do we decide something, or do we just keep doing what we've always done? So there is no black and white answer for anything in creation except what you decide. That becomes your, you might say, black and white answer. So you can keep the job, you can do what you've always done, keep the same routines. This is the basic idea of the spiritual path and whatever. And actually, because we've come up through religion, and the ideas of religion that, when you come to God, that you will get God's blessings and all these things. So the idea is, and I was in the corporation too, and I was there, and the ideas were there along the lines of, oh, well, things will get better for you, etc. And at that time, that's what it was. Now it's different because of the new nowness. It's a real wake up, and it's a big decision. So I'm not going to say you should or not. That's not the idea here. We don't have a plan or a program for people to go by. That's not the idea. It's let's see who's a risk taker and what they decide to do. So just like Val came down here, Val and Kelsey. Val was living up there in Cupertino and doing his jobs while he came down here to decide to help support me while I'm going through what I'm going through and trying to get this out there and also get the funding for years, which I've been blocked all the time, nothing but blocked. It's a big upheaval. But yeah, and I too was shown on the real side to, I was a general contractor for, let's just say 40 years or so in construction. And that I was too shown on the real side that it's time to get out of this years before I actually started to do it, because the business was good, everything was fine. But I was really working off of the old ideas as to when I was in the corporation, because that was the mode at that time to prepare for the next step. Well, I didn't see everything, but I had to go through the process. And then at some point I realized, yes, I do want to get past all this. And because I like the activity, I like being out there, I like the hard work, it was fine. I was paid my way. And I knew that to sit down and write and do all this, it would be its own discipline, and it would take me several years to figure it out and do it. So I did it and made the transition and struggled, especially in 08 when I had used up all my IRAs and everything. And really, really struggling at times, almost kicked out of here several times, just barely made it and had to borrow money to just pay the rent. And so, yes, it is a question accordingly. And so each person is going to do that in their own way, but there is a way. And just like anything, just like a mother deciding to have a child, yeah, it seems wonderful, cozy, whatever, but at the same time, it's a struggle to have the child. It's a struggle to raise the child, isn't it? Even when things aren't well economic wise, and sometimes people are on the streets, you might say they're homeless or whatever. They go through all kinds of things. We all do. And to see what? To see more. And so, so right now, the first step is, it's just like when I tell people about chemtrails, they go, well, I can't do anything about it. But you can become more aware. All right. And then from there, as you become more aware, then you start to see the opportunities that are available. You start to see more than your old routines. Do you want to surpass what you've known? Do you want to creatively take the risk to see if there's more? Robin Hood, he did the 9 to 5 thing, and then he got himself in trouble. Then he decided to take on a new career, and that is that steal from the rich who steal from everybody else, and then share the goodies. And that was an England thing over there, wasn't it? I used to watch Robin Hood when I was little with the star of it in the 50s, 60s was Lauren Green. But and so, yeah, first of all is becoming more aware. And so it's not the old idea where, okay, you join the new presentation and, oh, things are going to just get better. Well, the world's a lot worse than when I was young. And the idea here is to become more aware. And once you start seeing what's going on, will you step up and deal with it and be creative accordingly? So yes, it is a lot. So again, there's no pat answer. There's no black and white answer for should you or shouldn't you. It's not that the 9 to 5 job is good or bad, just like the money we use. It's a choice, isn't it? And it's a choice what we do, what we spend our money on. And so this is how it is in creation. We've come to that point where you decide how aware you want to become. You decide how you want to face everything or not. It's your decision. Thank you for asking. Go ahead, Gwen.
Right. Okay. Thanks very much. We'll have to have a little think of that. I've had to give up work about 3 years ago, so it doesn't really sort of affect me. But I think Kevin's at the moment, he's at a crossroads, if you see what I mean.
It's my current concern, I suppose, if you will.
Yeah, he's been sort of thinking about it a lot. Anyway, pass you over to Peter.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be back after 3 weeks. Hope you can hear me all right. Having a problem with the microphone at the moment. Just bear with me. Right. Over the last 3 weeks, I've started having 1 or 2 odd dreams. I think I may have mentioned last time that they were getting a bit thin on the ground, but I finally had one as recently as last night, which was slightly alarming at first sight. But on reflection, I think I can see that obviously it was not so. Right. I found myself in this big room, a windowless room with the floor covered in straw, and I was just standing there, and I was suddenly aware of the fact that off to the left, I couldn't see it, but I was aware, or could feel somehow that this is another grim one, I'm afraid, that somebody was being beheaded. And that was all very interesting. But then 2 heads appeared. They didn't actually roll into sight or anything like that. There's only one person, as far as I was aware, was being beheaded, but 2 heads appeared. They were identical. One was about a few feet away from me, and the other one was several yards across the other side of the room. And I was sort of wondering what this was all about. And then I picked up the one that was nearest to me, and it was communicating with me telepathically. Obviously, it couldn't speak because I presume its vocal cords have been cut from. And it was communicating with me telepathically. It seemed to have several topics. It's very difficult to put into words, really. It was a bit odd. It had sort of several topics it was discussing in brief. And each one seemed to be sort of they're in boxes, several different boxes of ideas. It's very hard to know. But these boxes that sort of appeared in my mind then with these ideas in them, and they were sort of also sort of emanating different colours. Each box had a sort of different prominent colour to it or inside it. And that was sort of that. But when I woke up and lay there in the small hours of the morning thinking about it, it suddenly dawned on me that the heads, well, at least the faces, I mean, showed a strong resemblance to Rebisar, where it was exactly the same sort of hair and beard and everything. And I thought, oh my God, what's happened? And I was sort of thinking about this, but also, I guess obviously this was, I had for some time been trying to get Rebisar to appear in my dreams by saying his name over and over again, as you suggested, one of your books, or more than one of your books. Finally he has, but not quite in the way I would have liked. But I think it seemed to me that it obviously was symbolic, as always, and that the heads, probably the fact there was two heads, I think probably indicate the fact that he was sort of indicating to me that he was on more than one level at the same time. And also similarly, the boxes of ideas and things, I think each one of them probably symbolises different levels, Astra and all the rest of it. But I don't know, it's a bit of a grim dream, and I hope it hasn't offended anybody in any way. Over to you, Duane, for us anymore.
All right. Did you ask Peter? Did you ask Kevin about this for an objective view? I was just curious.
I did actually, and he more or less agreed with my thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. That's it. And the straw floor is interesting. It's kind of like when you're in a discussion or a business or whatever it is, you kind of draw straws. Okay. You got a little hand of 4 or 5 straws, and one's the short straw, or if someone's going to go do something or whatever, but you're sitting on a straw floor. Of course, it's a natural floor too, but yeah, it's interesting. And the room itself, it depicts part of the personal self, which is okay also. So a step at a time. This is what we go through. I know we all go through these funny things. That's all I can say. Go ahead.
Oh, right. Okay. Thanks for that. The next one I had 2 or 3 weeks ago. Sorry, can you hear me all right? Right. I was to concern my mother, actually, my long deceased mother now. I went to visit her in hospital in this dream. I got to the door of the ward where I knew she was, and some people were coming out, and one of them was my mother. And she was smiling, happy, and greeting me, and sort of showed me in. And then I went into the ward, and then I found her bed with her in it. So my mother was in there as well, and smiling and greeting me. And I guess this is a similar thing in a way to the last one, in as much as the conclusion I sort of came to, that's all there was to it. The conclusion I came to was that she was sort of showing me also that they're, being on more than one level at the same time. So it's a bit of a short one, that one.
Yeah, that's a given, of course, because you're there, etc. So whatever the experience is, and so little by little, we're shown these objective views, and a lot of them are with the personal self. So you kind of look at yourself and figure it out. And the characters, many times, sometimes they are themselves. Sometimes they represent an attitude to see. Okay, and this isn't really good or bad. What it is that you just learn to see these things as we're going along, and then you have a comparison to something else. If you're deciding to learn to see into the unknown, you need that to pivot off that. And because the little self, again, is very self-convinced. So these are little personal things that are going on. And again, you have the family there, you have Kevin and Gwen and whatever, so you can talk this around and share objective viewpoints all the time. See who sees what about what, because there's another way to see it. And pretty soon you start figuring out this personal self, because again, especially as you're older, you've grown up with this personal self, and especially unconsciously, you're convinced that it's you when it's really not. It's like your car, all right? That's really what it is. but the personal self wants to be what it is, and so many times that's the struggle too. So that's a good one. And most people, they want to be that personal self and have that identity, etc. So okay, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. One more. This one happened 2 or 3 nights ago. In the dream, I was in this long, narrow sort of cafe, sort of tucked away in one corner with somebody. I don't know who they were, was even a man or woman. But and oddly enough, the person in there singing, and it was no less a person than Elvis Presley, but it was an elderly Elvis Presley. It wasn't how we remember him as a sort of young man or young middle-aged man when he died. I would put him sort of in his 60s and getting a bit sort of fatter in the face kind of thing. And he was singing away and singing these famous songs. I can't remember which ones now. But every time he stopped, nobody applauded. It was just a sort of chilly silence. And then eventually, between songs, he came sort of walking over to us in the corner and looking a bit sort of downhearted. And I said, well, no, don't worry. I said, there's an arrangement here where nobody applauds till the whole show's over. And he sort of was happy with that and went away. And that was it, really. And I haven't got a clue what that means.
Wow, you met Elvis.
Yeah. I'm Elvis, hold on. What's it on there?
Huh?
There.
Have you met the king? Oh.
That's very good.
Right. I've had 3 real side experiences in the past 3 weeks. After the last, one last week's team chat, it was the one before then. I think they got some. Yeah, the first one was, it was a lot like when Gwen was talking to Duane about if you can't approach someone in the physical about talking to them about the new presentation, then you go and do it on the real side. And that's basically what it was. It was just, it was my mother-in-law, Carol. And I can't really talk to her, but well, if I try and say anything about it, she'll just shoot me down and try and ridicule me. So, but I don't know why. Obviously, there was a reason for it, because I went on the real side, and all I can remember was seeing her, and I thought, I'm going to go and speak to her about it. I'm going to go and tell her. It's my opportunity. And that was the end of it, basically. I woke up in the morning and I remember that. And yeah, basically, it's self-explanatory. I think it's just it was me trying to tell her about the new presentation and the way things are. And the second real side experience, well, there was more impressions, but it was not after the Africa Zoom chat, but I think it was the one. I think there was a week missed. I think it was maybe that week, but I was getting hammered on all day with it, and it was like impressions, and it was basically it was Duane, and it was massive gold, and it was basically, it's the same as what Miss Claudia. I've heard Miss Claudia. She said she seen him walking through the physical, and that's what it was, and it was Duane walking through the physical, but it was more than that. It was because, like I said, I was getting hammered with him all day, these impressions, but it was always basically, it was either that or it was another one, and it was like, it was how can I say this? It was it was basically, it was Duane, massive, huge, being a golden light, and there was beings behind him. I don't know if there was the guides or the true silent ones, but it wasn't on his own. There was about six or seven of them there. I could see the outline of him. I could see the glow of him, and it looked to me, the view I had, it was Duane, and it was it was manipulating what looked like the Milky Way. It just looked like a massive spiral-arm galaxy. But it was awesome because it went on a table. It was like actual in what it was, and Duane was above it doing what it was doing. But it looked to me like he was manipulating it. But I was getting hammered with it all day, impressions of it all day long and all night, and for a few days. And then the weekend come round, and I think it was a Friday, and I wasn't even asleep, and I decided, yeah, this is the third one. I wasn't even asleep. It was Friday night, but it was bedtime. But I thought, I'm not sleeping, but I just laid my head down and started seeing the new you, and it was basically instantly, and it was like, it was fantastic. It was I was with Rebisar, and I didn't mention it to Kevin on one of his videos that he put out about the in-betweeny state, because that's where I was. I was in the in-betweeny state. I want to sleep and I want fully conscious, but I was there, and I was with Rebisar, and I was on I think in America you call them, well, everywhere we call them big wheels, like a fair ride, a carnival ride, and it was huge. And I was on a big wheel, but it wasn't fixed to anything. And I was sat next to Rebisar in the seat, and we was both laughing like hysterically. And the only way I can describe it, it was the big wheel was just rolling really fast as a wheel does. And of course we're sat in it in the seat, and I felt the motion of it and all. It was going so fast, but we was just going like round it seemed like we was just going around like the physical universe in like a big wheel, just trundling around the physical universe. And the whole time I was in like hysterical laughter, and I was looking at Rebisar, and he was the same, and that was it. And I woke up from it, and because I wasn't asleep, and I just smiled at my wife, and she says, "What's up?" I says, "Oh, nothing. I just been with Rebisar, told her what had happened," and she just gave me a look, and I closed my eyes, and within seconds I was doing it again. I was there again, doing it again, and it was fantastic. And that was about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I think that was my last real sad experience. But that was it. That's what I'd like to share. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Duane. That's it. Continue, mate.
Yeah, thank you, Pearce. That was cool. Yes, things are happening on the real side, that's for sure, more so than people realize because of what is happening throughout creation. There's a whole lot going on. So we are little dots here on this little planet in black space. And so there's a much bigger picture. So it's very important at this time to become very aware. And yes, what you're saying in the first experience about talking to people, overall, it's not just sharing what we're sharing, but we're trying to warn people, because as you look at just what's going on because we are a little planet in black space, and this galaxy is an example, and all the other galaxies, whatever, they're black holes everywhere, and this is part of the consciousness of agreement to the demise. And so until people wake up and recognize this, well, it becomes worse. So there are some adjustments being made, first of all, on this Earth, in the solar system, and then through the galaxy and other galaxies accordingly, because of what has taken place. So it's just time to step up. And this is where, each person has the opportunity to become more aware than just their personal life. So it's not about quitting your job or anything like that. A job is just a job, and the Earth is what it is. And so we'll see how people will wake up and heed this and see this is where it's a bigger picture than just the spiritual ideas, the love idea, the God idea, chasing happiness and all these things on this little tiny planet, when overall unconsciously there's a huge demise to agreeing to demise that is not seen, that captures the individual unaware. So yeah, you're seeing a hint of it. Yeah, thank you. And then yes, and then you have a little fun too. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you, Duane. We obviously when I was to go to sleep at night, you ask it, can I ask you a question? And that's what I've been asking for a couple of months, because you've been saying, oh, there's something coming, something amazing coming. So I've been asking, well, I want to see what's coming. So I just think I was given a glimpse. So thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, please continue, Kevin. Thank you.